Welcome into the PHNX Cardinals podcast presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and leave a 5-star review. I'm Chierstin Susel with Frank Sanders, Johnny Venerable. As always, you will have to excuse my voice. Feeling a little under the weather, so I am working remote, not in the studio with the guys tonight, but I could not miss this show because we have a special guest joining it. He was a star DB for the Cardinals. He's not only in the team's Ring of Honor, but the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Frank, you said it had been a little while since you talked to your former teammate, so I got him on the show. We're here to change all that. Aeneas Williams.
Yay! Yay!
Are you kidding me?
Come on, man. Frank, what's up? Johnny, thanks to the entire team for getting me on. I apologize for technical difficulty. I tried my desktop, so I went with my cell phone and it's working. Thanks for having me on. And Frank, it's so good to be on with you. Thanks for having me.
We lied to Frank and told him that there was I was having technical difficulties.
I had to steal his phone real quick before he was trying to scroll, and I'm like, nope.
Come on, man. Let's go.
Couple legends.
Yeah. It's glad to be on with you guys. Thank you. By the way, how did it end up being the Phoenix Cardinals and not the Arizona Cardinals? Tell me about that.
So our network is called PHNX. And so we've got the PHNX Cardinals show. We've got the PHNX Suns show. That's just the name of the network.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, thanks for having me on, guys.
Are you He's never speechless when we do this.
I can't believe it, Frank.
He always has a take and something to say. That's why we love him. But he has nothing right now. You got nothing for me?
Man, it's always great to see Nick. Like, this is mentor, brother in Christ, great, great role model, man. Great leader on the team. Love that brother, man. I gave my life to Christ because he was diligent about his life and his work toward the Lord. And there were so many other men that came to the Cardinals and ended up giving their life to Christ because of Aeneas and raising their level of play, their mentality as men, as husbands, making them better just across the board. And to see him, which I ain't seen in a long time, was just it's always a blessing to see your brother in Christ, man. And also, you just know, as a special place in my heart, he knows that without a doubt. That watch him grow, watch his family grow, watch his kids come to fruition, and then again, 1998 when the Cardinals went down to Dallas, something that he had never experienced, the franchise had never experienced. He was the actual speaker that day, and he talked to the team about the David and Goliath mentality and what it took for us to do it. And the guys rallied around what he was saying that day. And we went out and played, man, like a team that wanted to do something that would be special. And I think Nick can remember this more than I can. And I said one of the best moments I ever seen out of Mr. Bidwells was on Monday when we came back. Of course, the fans was out there. It was crazy. It was electric when we landed. But on Monday, Mr. B came in. The whole family came in on Monday. And he just wanted to tell everybody how thankful and how grateful he was for that win, and he started to cry.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yo, Frank, you described it so eloquently, but thank you for just the recognition. But I want to say I'm so glad to be on with you, so glad to see you as well as your team there. And thank you all for surprising Frank and allowing me to be on.
Man.
But back to you, Frank. I don't know if your co-hosts know, but when I first met Frank came to Flagstaff. I want to say was it a Chevy Blazer? What kind of vehicle?
Yeah, it was a Chevy Blazer.
Yeah, he had the Blazer. Did he tell you guys that on his front plate, he had, "I got my mind on my money and my money on my mind"? Did he tell you guys this?
I did.
But just a special human being coming out of Auburn, the Dillard 5, and you guys probably know about the Dillard 5.
Yes,
back in Fort Lauderdale, and just a beautiful spirit. Even today, still hear the beautiful spirit that you have, Frank. And man, love you. I am honored to be on with you. I thank God for you, as well as your team and the work that you're doing even today. So thank you guys for having me on.
Do you have another story? Because we love that one about his car. It's a classic Frank move. Do you have another story about how it was like to be Frank's teammate?
That's a good question. Let me think about that during our interview, but I'm quite sure something else will come back to mind. I will say this. With Frank and Rob Moore, we had two of the best receivers in the league during that time. And even though the late John Madden told my dad something when I got inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and this goes back to Rob Moore as well as Frank Sanders, also who I'm thinking about, right? Larry Centers and guys like that. The late John Madden told my dad during our enshrinement week, actually that weekend, he said Aeneas Williams is unique because he was able to get in coming majority of his career on a losing team. Out of John Madden's own mouth, and my dad quotes this, he says a number of guys get in because they're on perennial winning teams.
Yep.
But to come from losing teams. And I say that because when you don't win a lot, the guys don't get the recognition that they deserve, like a Frank Sanders, like a Rob Moore, who's the wide receivers coach at Tennessee Titans, like a Larry Centers, Eric Hill, and so many guys that I can name. I don't want to miss any. But I had a tremendous amount of teammates, talent on that team. And when I got to the Rams, I always knew, yes, I enjoyed being with the greatest show on turf, but I enjoyed all my time in Arizona with the Phoenix Cardinals / Arizona Cardinals, the Bidwell family, Larry Wilson, the general manager at that time, and great young teammates like Frank Sanders coming in from winning programs. And I don't know if you guys mess with him about this. Frank, you have that Auburn ring on, the best of the, I don't know, some kind of language they put on there.
It says best in the SEC. He's talking about my ring, like we went 11-0.
Yeah.
Right. And we were on probation. They ragged me about this so bad, man, because a big time program, but shucks, we could not go to the bowl games that year. And we were 11-0. And they gave out rings, and they said best in the SEC. And that was always something, man, that is they rag. Look, the locker room is hard, man. You walk in there with anything that looks like it's it has the opportunity to get joned on. You're gonna get joned on big time.
Sure.
So the dozens happen all day long when you walk in there with that. But it was like that.
So Aeneas, you mentioned Cardinals not synonymous with winning historically, although this season they are up to 10 wins. Have you had an opportunity to watch the team at all this year? And what are your thoughts on the team?
Absolutely. But the team that we see today that obviously had a few games lately that they would like to have a do-over. But for the most part, this has been a very successful season. But I like to give a shout out to Michael Bidwell as well as Steve Keim, because the success that they have now is a major, what I call a boss move a few years ago, which was unusual and rare in the National Football League for an owner and a franchise to terminate a coach after one season, and Steve Weiss, and also bring on, trade a number 1 draft pick, Josh Rosen. I think moved up to get him at number 10, to do the whole thing over, which was unusual, unprecedented, to make a move like that, to bring in a young Kingsbury, Texas Tech, also to draft at the top pick in the draft. Maybe I don't know this. You guys can correct me. Possibly the shortest receiver ever drafted. I'm sorry, shortest quarterback ever drafted in the National Football League, let alone the first overall draft pick. So those moves, from a general manager standpoint, an ownership standpoint, are difficult. People second guess you. The success that we're seeing now, the collaboration of talent that's on this team. Hopefully J.J. Watts can get back. Hop can get back. The talent that they've brought together this year is elite group of guys at all different positions, defensively, offensively as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, they're in a position now to do something special, and it's kind of poetic. You guys went into Dallas as big time underdogs back in 1998, and the Cardinals go into Dallas this weekend 6-point underdogs.
So I will say we thought this team was a championship caliber team at the start of the season. I know, there's a lot of questions surrounding the team right now just after their losing skid. But Aeneas, you've played on a team that went to the Super Bowl. What was unique about that team, and how special was it? How did you know ahead of time that there was something special?
No doubt. When I joined the Rams, they were a year removed from winning the Super Bowl against the Titans. They had gone to the playoffs that next year, but the defense wasn't very good. And Coach Mark's going into, I want to say, his second year as a head coach. He changed the entire defensive staff and brought in 8 new starters on the defense. So the one thing that I do remember about that team, everyone knows about the greatest show on turf. Shout out to Torrey Holt, who just was announced as one of the 15 finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. There are already a number of guys, including Kurt Warner, that he and I both played with the Rams as well as the Cardinals. And that team had not only the greatest show on turf on offense, but we had an outstanding defense. And one of the things the Cardinals have is the same thing as well. They have playmakers in the secondary. They have an outstanding pass rush and a very good offense. Getting Hop back, hopefully, will be huge, but they have the ability to do it. The key now during this time, because of the pandemic, is what teams are committed to having a conversation with the players to encourage the players for the next 2 months to almost, as the NBA did last year, to be in some type of bubble. Because what it will boil down to now, it's attrition, and that's the National Football League. How many guys can you keep healthy, and how many guys you can keep off the COVID list. That's what will make the difference, and the Cardinals have the talent to do it. I really believe in Kyler Murray. This guy, just get him the ball. The Cardinals have what every team wants, is a quarterback that if we just get them the ball, a la Jake Plummer, as Frank would attest to, you get this guy the ball, we have a chance to win. And that's what the Cardinals have.
You got any questions?
I'm just looking at him and listening, man. This is like Bible study, man. Like sometimes you just gotta listen. Sometimes you gotta listen. That's just listen, because it's definitely in there. I just gotta listen, bro.
So I listen. Speaking of listening, I listened to my father, Hud Venerable, growing up in my household back in Bloomington, Illinois, and he always talked about how fortunate the Cardinals were to have historically great defensive backs, right? So Larry Wilson, Roger Worley, Aeneas Williams, Adrian Wilson, Tyrann Mathieu, and now Budda Baker. Now, Aeneas, I know you played corner and you transitioned to safety, but when you watch Budda play, what gets you excited about number 3 on the field?
Well, shout out to also Patrick Peterson for carrying on that legacy as well. But Budda Baker, as well as that number 7, the cornerback as well, Budda Baker disrupts the game. One thing I don't like disparaging guys, but Jamal Adams in Seattle, outstanding safety, blitz safety, but can be a liability in coverage. Budda Baker has the ability to not only sack the quarterback, influence your running game to stop it, but also has the ability to play back in the secondary and be a secondary player as well. So I would call him a 3-tool safety, which has a huge impact on that defense.
So I want to circle back because I know you've been a pastor for many years now, which I think is incredible. And I love that aspect of your story and your journey. But if the Cardinals needed a little pep talk right now because of the situation that they're in, and some people are questioning their talent and their leadership and whether they have all the things that people were saying that they had to start the season, what would your message be to this team right now?
Going into the final games of the season, which are highly important, but the good thing about the league now, you only have one team on in each conference that's going to have home field advantage. So everybody else, it's a crapshoot as relates to home field. I would simply say to them, winning the Super Bowl and being successful does not happen because you have guys playing outside of themselves. It's where you have consistency. And you understand that this game has to do with protecting the ball and creating turnovers. And one thing that we've seen over the past couple of weeks with the Cardinals are turnovers. And those are things that I know Kyler can clean up as it relates to some of those interceptions. And then running the ball, hopefully Connor, as well as the other gentleman, number 2, what's his name?
Chase Edmonds.
Yeah, that 1-2 punch is outstanding. So handing the ball off. Many people may not notice, and I don't know if the statistic has changed. Teams that run the ball a minimum of 25 times a game, I'm talking about attempts, not how many yards they gain, typically win 80% of their games. And sometimes when you have a great quarterback, there's a tendency to get in the mode of just passing the ball and not realizing how important it is to run the ball. Don't mean you're going to gain a whole lot of yards, but a number of things are happening. One, you're wearing down their defense. Their defense is on the field longer. And pass rushers don't like to experience blows of offensive linemen coming at them.
Yeah.
So if you can hand the ball off and make plays when you have opportunities and know that there's nothing anybody has to do extraordinary. We just need them to be consistent. And that will allow, particularly in the playoffs, when the teams get better, it usually comes down to who has the ball last. And that's where you want to trust Kyler Murray from the 3 aspects of the game, offense, defense, special teams, be in a place where you can get that guy the ball when the game's on the line, and the Cardinals will have an opportunity.
Aeneas, a lot of people asking this question here is that they say, Frank, if you played in this, how do I think I would fare as a receiver in this day and age with, spread offense that it is right now? As a cornerback, I mean, how do you think you would fare in this day and age with all the things that you guys have seen and having more opportunities now to make picks and do other great things like you did as a Hall of Famer already?
Well, when I look at Trayvon Diggs in Dallas, the one difference about Trayvon, I now, because they throw the ball so much, Frank, I believe that the single season record, Dick Knight Train Lane in Detroit, his rookie year, 14 interceptions. That record, I guess y'all would say, why does this guy know this? Because I know all this stuff. I used to be shooting for it. But because instead of talking about how much the game has changed, it is really an opportunity for defensive backs to work on their ball skills, because catching the ball is a skill. There are some that have just a natural talent to do it, but for the most part, it's a skill. And because they're throwing the ball so much, there should be an opportunity. So I'm shooting for Diggs to break this record. The unique thing about Diggs is teams continue to throw the ball at him. When, Frank, you know this, when I played, you may not get a ball the whole game. So that's the unique thing, that Diggs is great, but also, I guess, to opposing teams, he's not as great as to a team fearing to throw the ball at him, which gives him an opportunity to use those tremendous natural ball skills that he has. So in answering that question, Frank, I'm looking for more interceptions and guys catching balls, because they're there. Stratford, my former team, the Rams, he threw 3 interceptions. Baker Mayfield threw 4 interceptions. And these are games that they have to win. So that's what I think about today's game.
Aeneas, we've got 2 more questions for you if you'll stick around. I just have a quick promo to read. Perfect. All right, let's read this, and then a couple more questions, and then we'll let you go. We do appreciate your time. As always, you know that our official partner of the show is the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Playoffs going to be here before you know it, and the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Their offers are getting even more amazing. New customers can bet just $5 on any team to win their game, and if they do, you win $200 in free bets. Don't miss out on this action. Customers can also get NFL action with same-game parlays. If you combine multiple bets from the same game, you're going to get a bigger payout. The more legs you add, the more money you can win. It is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Again, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use that promo code PHNX this week, and bet $5 on any team to win their game. You're going to win some money if they do. New customers only, restrictions apply, must be 21 and older. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. All right, well, we didn't have the chance to ask you at the beginning, Aeneas, just kind of how life is going for you. I think you started pastoring your church out in Missouri in 2014. So it's been a few years since you started it. How's that going?
It's going very well. Getting the opportunity to do something that I love to do, and that's to take the gospel and make it in very practical form for people to go out and live their lives following Christ. And I just love people and the game of football, and a number of the guys like Frank and that were on the team, whether they were believers or not, it didn't matter. The Pat Tillmans and the Corey Shavises, all of those amazing relationships that we had. So now today, raising a family, 3 girls and a boy, and my wife going on January 9th, it'll be 29 years of marriage, but it's been going well. And then I do work serving the league office with the commissioner, owners, and vice president of football operations with Troy Vincent.
Busy man.
Nick, you got the gold jacket. What comes along with the gold jacket? Not everyone knows. That's kind of one of those hidden conversations. That
is that the bus behind you right there? Is that the Hall of Fame bus?
Yes,
right
that's the replica that they give you for your home. Yes.
Excellent.
A good question, Frank. One, I always refer back to my dad. My dad says that when your son becomes a Hall of Famer, he says, before you become a Hall of Famer, when people ask you about your children, and one of them played in the National Football League, and they usually ask you, well, how good is he? And you have to comment with modesty and things like that. He said, but when your son get in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you don't really have to answer those questions. But the perks and all of those things, it's so many perks, but the most important thing is to understand guys that I sit in a room with, Frank, they're not always, once you get to the National Football League, we're talking about 1% of all high school players. So once you get there, even if you're there for training camp, you're a legend. And it's such a high degree of respect for the intelligence in the room. And also the thing to know that I played with guys. I played with guys with the Arizona Cardinals who are just as good as some of those guys, but goes back to what John Madden says. When you don't win as many games, the team is not in the public sight often. But I could tell you, I enjoyed playing just as much every year with the Cardinals as I did with my 4 years with the Rams. So those are kind of the perks. The perks is just spending time, particularly with the guys that I watched growing up. And literally, as watching them get older, as I get older, and really just serving those guys, go getting things for them, almost like a rookie all over again.
Well, you mentioned John Madden, and we'll wrap it up with this. We've been honoring him all week long. I know you tweeted out an awesome All Madden jacket earlier today, which is an incredible condition as well, back from 1994. Can you speak about what he meant to the game, and if you had a personal relationship with him, just what he meant to you in your life?
Well, one, when your mother tells you that she learns the game through Coach Madden's broadcast, that says it all. And my mom is a sports mom as it relates to my mom and dad. But one of the things he did was, in a colorful way and using imagery and pictures, he would explain to those that were listening what took place and what are the basic things that a fan wants to know when they see a play that's successful or a play that's unsuccessful. And when you have a coach, a lot of times people forget that Coach Madden was a coach and has the highest winning percentage of all NFL coaches. But his work in the broadcast booth which listening to interviews with people that work with him in broadcast, how meticulous he was because of how meticulous he was as a football coach. But also, I've never played a whole lot of Madden as it relates to the game. But when you have a football game, with the popularity that it has to every generation, his mark on the game of football and really how he's influenced a lot of lives is second to none. And that's why I like to remember him, as many people are. And then being with him on calls with the National Football League, with some of the suggestions and things that we're doing as it relates to rule changes and things like that. So it was just a pleasure getting to know him as well.
Well, Aeneas, it was a pleasure having you on the show. We thank you again so much. Frank, I'll let you say goodbye.
Man, I love you, bro. And I appreciate everything you've meant to me, my family, and just you being you, which is pretty awesome. I'm over here in tears, man. I got to stop this stuff. That's how I feel. I'm in tears over here. I got to stop.
Well, Frank, as well as the team there, thank you for allowing me to be on. I love you. And the best is yet to come. Thank you. Thank you. Thank your family. Thank the girls and everyone, Frank. And know the best is yet to come, guys. Let's go Cardinals.
Let's go Cardinals. Thank you
So
so much,
hard.
Aeneas.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Aeneas.
you, brother.
Frank.
You to use the term of Johnny, you rat something.
You were like Chierstin, where's the rundown? I was like, oh, we're just gonna wing it today.
Yeah,
Frank.
I was like, where's the rundown? Like, I didn't get it. She's like, no, we're gonna wing it. We're cool. I'm like, okay,
So we had to turn the TV off because the graphics are on the TV. We couldn't tweet before the show started. Chierstin, he grabbed his phone after the tweets went out when the show was starting.
I wanted to tweet it out.
I just grabbed his phone. I said, "Oh, did you get a new phone?" And I had to like play it off. And Frank's probably thinking like, "What the hell? This guy stealing my phone?"
Hey, look. I am the man today because of Aeneas Williams in a lot of ways. Just you walk into an NFL locker room and you just don't think you can live the life of faith. You cannot live that life in there. There's too many females, finances, family, and fun just to feel like you can walk into a locker room. But you had diligent men that was, living the life for Christ, and they wanted to, get their lives together. They wanted to be better men. And he was an epitome of that. Anthony Edwards, Rob Moore, Michael Banks, and just a ton of guys, Eric Swan, we just keep going. It was a blessing to me. And to watch him work, this is the same guy we'd play a game on at 1:00, and then we'll get done so around 3:34. And I could be going home, and Aeneas lived over in the Ahwatukee foothills area, and he would be at Mountain Point doing football drills.
Wow.
After playing a football game. Like there was nothing that he didn't do that was not at a level of excellence to push the envelope to the next level. And I mean, a lot of the stuff that I learned on how to train, how to work out, how to beat my body, how to punish myself, to discipline myself was because of watching guys like him.
Well, he's on the all-decade team for a reason. He's, of course, in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I remember, again, when I was growing up, my father was a high school football coach, and when he was working with the defensive backs, he would use Aeneas Williams as an example of how to tackle, because so many DBs were finesse DBs and didn't want to tackle. And here's Aeneas Williams, and I wasn't going to bring it up when we had him, but I mean, essentially, he kind of ended Steve Young's career with just how hard he played. And it's a credit to him. There are very few individuals like that where you can say his name and he's synonymous with just greatness at his position. And I'm so glad he brought up like the fact that, hey, I was on a team that didn't win a lot, and it means more to me to be able to have the success that I had as a group, but then also individually, where people recognize my game beyond just the wins and losses. Because I think all Cardinal fans can feel this way, that the team gets disrespected and you want to be able to tout, of course, the Buda Bakers of the world and the Chandler Joneses and the Kyler Murrays and the Chase Edmonds, right? But people are like, well, that's the Cardinals. Forget about them. And for Aeneas, I'm sure it meant just as much to go into the Hall of Fame as a Cardinal.
Look, to come from, Southern University, first-round draft pick, and, put the work in, and to have a loss. Look, it takes a lot. When you're losing a lot, to keep showing up and putting that work in, and focusing on your numbers and the stats and not, I mean, we talked about it earlier. I said, sometimes these kids, it's hard to want to be successful when you're already famous because you have TikTok and social media and you're getting your money. But a guy like Aeneas, or most of the guys that play with the Cardinals that were Pro Bowlers that were, rarely seen on TV, still got the accolades of being great because they put the work in. And that's a credit to him. And again, all he kept doing was saying, hey guys, in order for us to be great, in order for me to be considered great, I need you guys to understand the level of work it takes. And I mean, just never stop training, never stop going to the next level. He never stopped seeking how to be the best he could be in all aspects of his life, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And again, just a great credit. Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Thank Chierstin. That was all Chierstin.
So much
she reached out to
touched my heart
people,
right,
and that was Chierstin's idea. So,
well, Frank, we were talking after a show one day, and you were telling me a little bit about some of the guys that impacted your life as a young man coming into the National Football League, and it was inspiring to hear about it. So I was like, well, let me see if I can get somebody on. And so I reached out to the church that Aeneas pastors and founded and was able to get through. And so that's how it all turned out. But I was touched by the story that you were telling me about him and the rest of your teammates. So yeah.
Special. I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. That made my year. I'm pretty solid right there.
Pretty good way to go out.
Pretty good. I'm over here still trying to hold these tears back. So don't look over here, Johnny. Don't do it. Don't do it. You'll start crying too. Don't do it.
Well, while you're holding yourself together here, we'll take a moment to let all the folks listening, if you would like to get more of this content, trying not to cough here.
Why wouldn't you want this content?
I'm like trying to work my way around words here as I'm holding back a cough. If you want to become a member at gophnx.com, you can become a member today, get a free t-shirt. We've got a ton of amazing t-shirts up on phnxlocker.com. We've also got stickers on our website, which I keep talking about how I need to get them from our laptop, and maybe today will finally be the day. I always forget. I remember it during the show, and then when the show's over, I forget. But you get a sticker pack for just $5 on our website. They're limited. So once they're out, you can't get them again, and they're pretty cool stickers. So they kind of resemble some of the graphics that are on our t-shirts. So we've got a lot going on, and we always have promos going on our gear for our members. So we would appreciate it if you want to support us. If you love what we're doing here at PHNX, become a member at gophnx.com. All right. Well,
I don't really know where we go from here.
I know.
I think that was Nick brought up some great points. We call him Nick, as his name is Aeneas, but he go by Nick. So
you kept saying Nick during the interview.
Yeah, because he goes by Nick. Oh, you go by Nicky. Like we used to call him Nicky. Hey, Nicky.
Really?
Like for whatever reason, that's not part of his middle name or any part. Just Aeneas turned into being Nick. But he brought up some great points because you asked a question about watching the Cardinals and how they started out strong and then they kind of what would be the message that he would give these guys going into this game and finishing up the season. And I think that's kind of the same thing we would love to have answered, because it'll give us an idea in the direction that we think our team is going, what message they need to hear, so then we can all rally around that and get our faith back into our team, because it just seems like when we talked about the standard was the standard and it was great while we was reaching some of our standards, and now it seems like we just don't have any, and it seemed like that dissipated with this team. And I would love to see that, something that we could just kind of talk about. What would be the message that you need to hear and who you need to hear it from to indicate to you that you believe in this team and what we're going to do the next couple of weeks?
He had a great line. It was like, let's not ask anybody to play outside of themselves. Just play into your role in this team. It's kind of like that Bill Belichick, do your job line that's been beaten to death. But with the way Aeneas articulated it is basically like, hey, you don't have to go out and be Superman today and record 20 tackles, but understand your role and execute it efficiently, and we can play good football again. And I think the Cardinals have gotten away from that for whatever reason, but back to basics, it should be this Sunday, especially with, and we'll preview it tomorrow on our Friday show, but just so many injuries, COVID's a factor. Can they just get back to playing mistake-free football? And you can control those mistakes. You can control, if you're Josh Jones, 3 false start penalties, right? Pre-snap penalties. You can control the hold and the execution if you're Matt Prater on a kick. So little things like that, I think, would go a long way. And it probably speaks to Kyler Murray's comments from earlier this week saying, hey, we're not that far off. We're closer than it may appear. And I think it's just playing within themselves.
Elon says, let's adopt the standard 2.0. So I agree. Let's wipe the standards, the standard 2.0.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
I agree. I mean, if you could say like any number of things, you could say like have the team know that they're not far off, and in truth, they're not far off. My thing about that statement is, football is a game of inches, and most teams aren't that far off, right? Like maybe the bottom of the totem pole, separates. Those teams separate themselves by a large margin. But outside of that, I mean, you could say the Lions weren't that far off, and then they believed it and got a win over the Cardinals.
Yep.
So it takes more than, it takes a lot to win a game in the National Football League. And I hope that the Cardinals are in tune with how close they really are and truly do believe that statement and have belief in themselves and what they can accomplish. And hopefully that leadership, comes up as well. Whoever the leaders need to be on this team, I hope that steps up. We've been talking about the lack of leadership for several weeks now. And at some point, I'm just hoping that they'll be able to turn that aspect around as well.
Well, and that starts with Kyler Murray. And I think if you're Kyler Murray and you just heard the podcast we did with Hall of Fame great Aeneas Williams, you got to be feeling pretty good about yourself. Aeneas Williams, who's played with some good quarterbacks, elite quarterbacks, and Kurt Warner, of course, played with Jake Plummer. And for the comments he made about Kyler Murray, just unquestionably is a huge fan and a believer. That makes me feel good as somebody who roots for this franchise. And, Kyler hasn't played particularly well, but knows what he's capable of. For number 35 to be able to watch Kyler Murray every Sunday and say, nope, this guy's got it. He's got enough for this team to be able to achieve what they've never done, which is a Super Bowl. I mean, there's no bigger compliment in my opinion.
No, I thought it was pretty special that he did back that up consistently with the fact that he does believe in Kyler Murray. And I know that's been a question mark for the last couple of weeks from the fans' perspective, as well as the national media. And he himself, he has to kind of, what they've been saying all week is I have to go look in the mirror and, make yourself a better person and a better player and show up on Sundays. And I honestly think that this is these next couple of weeks will be just as tough for Cliff Kingsbury as the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals and having to decide, and you guys can check me on this, having to decide who's going to play and who's not going to play. If you're already in the playoffs, do I sit guys? Do I bring the backups? Do I give guys rest that need the rest? Or do I try to create this formula, getting these guys back together and find some rhythm moving forward into the playoffs with some kind of momentum?
It's time to start playing good football again. So I say if it was up to me, I would play everybody in preparation, getting ready for wild card weekend.
Yeah, they've got a lot of things to clean up. So the thought of sitting anybody for any reason would be so far away from anything I'm thinking about. That's just me. But they need to get on the same page and go out and win a couple of games to close the season out, in my opinion.
Yeah,
let's do one more DraftKings Sportsbook read and wrap this show up. If you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now using the promo code PHNX, bet $5 on any NFL team to win. You're going to win $200 in free bets if they are victorious. Again, that's promo code PHNX this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Johnny and I are going to. We're all under the weather here. Frank, me, geez, coughing up a storm here.
Get out of here. Come on.
This is a tickle right here.
It's just that time of year. Johnny and I are going to preview the game tomorrow, Frank, which you will not be a part of. So do you want to give maybe some thoughts about this weekend's game against Dallas before we wrap it up?
The last couple of weeks, you guys know I've been a front runner and I have been a carrier of the Cardinal banner of what they could do. And this would be the moment to seize the day and carpe diem this week. And I just don't have it right now. Unfortunately, despite what Nick said in regards to Aeneas said, and, having faith in Kyler Murray and what he has done in Dallas over his history, I just believe that Dakota, Rain, Prescott has this guy's playing so much better right now over Kyler Cole Murray. And I'm just not sold right now. The guy with a name like that has to be a leader. And I think that I'm not sold on my Cardinals right now until I see it.
Chierstin, he asked me quickly before the show, what's a cooler name? Dak Prescott, Dakota, or Kyler? What do you think is the better name?
I'm gonna have to go with Prescott.
Do you think Dak or Dakota is cooler than Kyler? I said Dakota reminds me of like South Dakota, small town.
Like
that's not
guy,
cool.
yeah.
No.
Dakota Rain over Kyler Cole.
Kyler Cole sounds like somebody like a rapper, maybe somebody who'd be out and about. Isn't there like a J. Cole? Is he?
Yeah, J. Cole.
Dakota, get out of here.
There you go. That's too funny.
I don't know. It just reminds me of like somebody who's just humble and is like rough and just wants to play the game of football. And
that's true.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. All right. Well, that's mine. Do you want to score?
Yeah.
I hate to say this though, because I hate to speak these things. It doesn't matter. Shit. Everything I said the last couple of weeks have failed. So I'm gonna go 31-12.
Oh no.
31-12. I don't see us scoring a bunch of points in this game. I just haven't seen us rise to the occasion. And unfortunately, right now, till I see it, brother. Sorry.
Chierstin, you and I got 24 hours to think on that.
Yeah, I'm not giving a score prediction right now because honestly, I said it like last week. I don't know what to think about this team. I still don't know what to think about this team. They also have a lot of absences due to COVID that have popped up in the last couple of days. And so who the heck knows? I mean, maybe that'll inspire them. Maybe they're down a whole bunch of players. Maybe they'll play better. I don't know. I don't know.
Our backups have been pretty freaking good.
Yeah.
And so if our backups are there, I might change my mind.
Did you go to DJ Humphrey's birthday party, by the way, the COVID birthday? Now he's got COVID.
No.
DJ Humphrey's got COVID.
Really?
He had a big birthday party. I guess that's the hot rumor on Twitter. I am not condoning that one way or the other, but the rumor on Twitter is DJ Humphreys had a big birthday party and now he's out.
Okay.
Josh Jones, you're up.
Well, I'll wrap it up with this, Frank. I wanted to mention it, but I didn't want to embarrass you. What do you think Aeneas would have said about your tattoo?
He would have been like, bro, he's like, bro, what are you doing? And I would have told him I put my word out there, and then he says, man, you could have put your word out on something better than that, though. And I'd have responded with, but I believed in the guy. I still believe in the coach, and rightfully so, it's deserving. So he would have probably went along with me outside of that.
I don't remember Aeneas having any tattoos.
He doesn't.
No.
Aeneas have no tattoos. That's not his thing. His body is holy and pure. It will have no problems of anything going in that body. So
none of that toxic ink.
Yeah, none of that. None of that ink.
He's like Chierstin and I. We don't have any tattoos.
Yeah.
This is how we roll. No,
that's how y'all roll right now until we win that Super Bowl and y'all
right.
get that Vince Lombardi tatted on your back and your butt cheek.
Well.
Yep. Look, great time, man. Appreciate that. Y'all blessed me so much. Like I said, every time I see Aeneas, I get quiet because I've like at Bible studies, he would just talk and I would just sponge it in. He has so much information, so much knowledge, so much wisdom, and I just sponge it in. And again, you're talking about a guy that did it, with a losing franchise. And for all those who are chiming in, they understand because they was here. You guys was here. You seen it. Well, probably too young at the time, but one of the greatest players to put on a uniform in the National Football League. And we had a chance to watch it. And to me, watching his work ethic, watching how he prepared for, life, as well as the game of football, it blessed my soul. And look, y'all touched me. So thank you so very much for that.
Were you actually tearing up or were you just
100%?
He was
100%. I had to keep it back. I had to hold it back.
He didn't want to say too much.
Yeah,
he was just taking the moment in.
Look, we spent so many times. Like this is so like he won't tell you the story, but these are some of the best times before we close out. When we went to Flagstaff, the veterans would have this little hallway
for training camp.
For training camp, right? And so the veterans have this hallway, and it'd be like the old school guys, and these guys be out there getting smashed. They'd be enjoying themselves drinking. Aeneas be on that floor, but he'd never drink. Him and Anthony, these guys would never drink. So we had veterans that having a great time. And then Aeneas, we were having our Bible studies. So like literally, this is the hallway. It's a look at the studio as the area where guys would come out and drink and have a good time out to practice. And then the hallway would be where we'd have Bible study, is like literally just inside down the hallway from where we are right now to the next room. And you can hear the music playing, but they would have Bible study. And then you'd have that balance between both. And then when Aeneas does Bible study, the guys they respect him. Eric Hill, Eric Swan, these guys, they would literally Seth Joyner, they would cut the music down for Bible study. And then as soon as Bible study was over, about an hour, boom, the music go back up, the party gets going, and then these guys will just show up. So many great stories about Aeneas Williams fighting in practice and then like mad at the guy, Stevie Anderson, because he wouldn't run the routes right. He wouldn't run the routes like Michael Irvin. And he was so mad that they got into a tussle. And everybody's like, hey, man, that's the Christian leader. He can't be fighting like that. And then Aeneas would come and say, man, look, I'm sorry, apologize. And then like right after that, we went right into prayer. It wasn't a big deal, but he's like, bro, I need you to practice. So this is the beauty. I'm going to add to the story. Stevie Anderson went and started watching film on Michael Irvin and how he ran his routes. And so the next day he came out, and the next couple of days, he ran his routes exactly like Mike did. And when Aeneas went to the Pro Bowl, he bought Stevie something, because he was the catalyst to, I need you to do it like this. Don't do it how you doing it. Do it like this, because I'm playing this. Remember, I told you everything is a dress rehearsal. We don't play around and like this backyard football in practice. Everything is timing and rhythm, and you know how many steps to take. He's, as a cornerback, watching the quarterback drop back 3 steps. He's taking 2.5, and he's moving downhill. Quarterbacks takes 5. He's still backpedaling to a certain position, and then he moves like he's getting ready because he knows it has to happen. He brought Stevie something because of that. That shows where he was in his mind, that, I need you to do this exactly how I'm going to see this guy do it. And once they both did it, I mean, it was a perfect scenario. The argument that happened forced everyone else on the practice squad to give the guys exactly the look that they needed. It forced our practice squad guys to go watch film of the other teams so they can also do it just how these guys are doing it. So it made us better. And it was just something special to watch. And it happened to be the 1998 season that happened, that we ended up going to the playoffs, because guys they didn't have to do a whole bunch. They just had to do their job. And they became meticulous about their job. And that was good.
He was a good guest to have, and this was a good conversation to have entering the new year, because now I'm like inspired. I don't think I have that dedication to anything in life. So maybe in the new year, 2022, new year, new me, I'll like learn a little something from a Hall of Famer and put as much dedication into something in my life as he did. Jeez.
That's how I feel. And that's why I got quiet. Exactly how I feel, because I know he has something to say. And he's right. The best is yet to come. For PHNX Cardinals, PHS as a whole, we're new in the Valley, but we're making great strides. And Johnny and what he's doing.
No,
cheers to this team right here. This team right here. I mean, it's a good team. And for
Leah,
all those
our phenomenal producer who helped orchestrate this with Chierstin behind the scenes. Thank you, Leah.
Thank you for turning off the screen, Leah, so that Frank could not see who was in the chat or in the show.
Appreciate that, y'all. I really do.
All right, well, let's wrap this thing up. If you are not following us on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, we'd appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button. Also, follow us on social media at PHNX_Cardinals. And we'll see you tomorrow for a preview of the Cardinals game against the Cowboys.